To celebrate 10 years of World of Tanks console, Wargaming is giving us a new Tier 10 Premium for free, but only free to some players. If your account is 7 years or older, you immediately unlock the MBT-B for free along with its skin and this 10-year Garage Gear item upon logging in between now and March 5th. If your account is younger than 7 years, you will have discounts that get better the older your account is, with brand new players having no discount below 1 year of account age, up to 90% off for 6-year players. So, how does this new MBT-B fare in battle? Well, it's got a 120mm gun, but with a new class of alpha for this caliber. Rather than a 400 alpha gun like many other 120mm at tier 10, or even a 440 alpha 120mm like that on the Valor, this tank splits it down the middle with 420 alpha. But the reload stat on this vehicle is closer to 440 alpha 122mm on average than it is its own 120mm brothers, having less base DPM than the likes of the Valor and IS-4, as both of those tanks have 0.1 second better reload but with 20 more alpha. It should be noted that this tank's values are identical to PC's except for 2 nerfed values, and the reload is one of those values. I have a suspicion that we nerfed reloads for most PC tanks we bring over because of our rapid loading perk, but from playing this morning, I think we might have gone a touch too far. It makes it feel like it's not keeping up with our own game. We nerfed it by 0.9, and I think we could have gotten away with a 0.4 second nerf, so I would like to see it at 10.4. The other nerfed value was its view range, which was at a whopping 420 base view range on a heavy tank. That's the same as the M48 Patton. This nerf I was happy to see, as 400 is average for heavy tanks, and having a 420 view range heavy would have definitely been interesting for sure, but in my opinion was unnecessary for it to have to make the tank appealing. How's the gun handling then, if this is a harder hitting 120mm? Well, it's got a good 0.34 base accuracy and a 2.3 second aim time, that accuracy being quite average for a 120, and that aim time being on the slower end of the family. It shoots AP standard with 265mm of penetration and 1200 shell speed, which is great, and heat premium with 330mm of penetration and 1000 shell speed. If we compare it to its single-shot American heavy brother, the T110E5, the MBT-B trades better standard pen for less premium pen. It also has faster AP shell speed compared to the 1067 shell speed on the E5, which its heat rounds share the same speed. So, unlike the E5, the MBT-B will have to adjust its aim if leading a shot and switching shells with their different shell speeds. One aspect of the vehicle that's better than the E5 is its gun depression with 10 degrees, making it very good at working ridge lines. But how does the armor look for holding those ridges? Well, it doesn't have a cupola, but it does have a flat 240mm plate right behind this gun and box bit that do not count as spaced armor. So they kind of hide the plate, but if you know it's there, go for it, because those extra parts are not part of the armor model and will not mess up your shots. But if you didn't know that it was there, then you might find it hard to tell where to shoot this thing. You can also get some pens on the side of this bulge here, but it's definitely not as reliable as the 240mm plate from my playing experience. If you can't find a ridge, well, good luck, because side scraping with this far back cut corner is going to be rough. It's only 165mm, and when side scraping, you basically make it more flat for the enemy to pen. But you do have 90mm sides behind that just in case they miss that spot. Of course, with many tanks' front sections, its lower plate is the easiest place to pen, but if you can't hit that from the front for some reason, those 165mm cut corners we talked about when side scraping are probably your next best to pen from the front. For this tank's speed when trying to get to those ridges quickly, you'll be going 40 km per hour max, with a quite good 16.67 power to weight, which will easily get you to max speed while cruising on flats, but with the usually slow 15 reverse speed of many heavies. Overall, if a comparison were to be made, I would say this feels like a combination of the T110E5 and the Valor Chieftain. It's got the power to weight and speed of the E5 for the most part, as well as its AP and heat ammo combination, but with the DPM, gun depression, and hard to see turret weaknesses of the Valor. Of course, it's much more than that, especially with its very unique 420 alpha. Before we get to some gameplay, let me show you what setup I have. My usual consumable setup of a premium repair kit, food, and a standard med kit, the go-to equipment setup of optics, rammer, vents, and a 9-skill commander with the 7 perks I run on all vehicles: 6th Sense, Rapid Loading, Steady Aim, Born Leader, Situational Awareness, Run and Gun, and Snapshot. My 2 other perks I chose were Supply Conservation and Off-Road Driving. Of course, you can run a different setup, like maybe speed equipment over optics and vents, since most people love to go fast, but this is what I went with. So with that, allow me to set the scene for how bad of a time I had trying to get a good game for you guys. And it wasn't because of the vehicle. I don't know what it was about today, but man, were people out and about with AG. I got spammed by tier 8s, and of course the dreaded Avery, which killed me at least 3 times in the short time span I spent playing today. Out of 14 total games, the majority of them were stomps, and I even saw a 15-0 game. And one of my games that wasn't a complete stomp was only so because each team had 8 bots per side. Ridiculous. But finally, on my 14th game, I got this match on Kasserine. So here it is. Standard Battle Kasserine, we get the top left. It is normal spawns rather than skewed spawns, so we get to play a little bit normal. But I'm not going to take my heavy tank into the valley. And that's partially because, well, it doesn't do well side scraping, and although there is a rock there for me to go hold down on, I don't feel like getting HE'd by any potential tanks in the middle that want to shoot HE at me, and I don't want to fight for that rock. That rock being the only cover, it's usually hard fought for, and if a lot of people go there, then there'll be a lot of bumping. So rather than doing that, I'm going to go south with this light tank and hope that the light can spot for me, or maybe I'll spot for myself. Since I don't have that 420 base view range that we would otherwise on PC, I can't really rely on spotting for myself as much as I can with any other heavy, but I'm gonna be aggressive, and I hope it pays out for me. Here is an M60 that you see him now, and I want you to remember him because, well, he'll become important later on. Very important. But I'm just going to use this ridge to hide me from the left side people who are targeting me. And I'm just gonna get shots at this M60. I am spotting him because the light tank is behind me. So I'll get some free assisted here. And now it looks like he's trying to retreat. But I hit him again for both of those, low rolling ever so slightly, but because I have 420 alpha, it feels like if I had a regular 400 alpha gun that I'm high rolling, which is sort of the benefit with this gun. And there are instances where, you know, you'll feel that power fantasy of a 440 alpha gun. Goodbye Bellerophon. You'll feel that power fantasy of a 440 alpha gun, and you'll get some high rolls like someone will be on 450 HP and you'll get a high roll of 30 plus, which wouldn't be too much of a high roll with a 440 alpha gun. But on the opposite side, you'll get those low rolls of regular 400 guns. And especially to the point where damage reduction, which I don't know how utilized damage reduction is. Don't look at this shot. I know I have AP on and I'm not used to, you know, AP too much. So I wanted to lead it more because I wasn't so confident, even though this is 1200 shell speed AP. Well, my turret didn't catch up in time, so. But anyway, with damage reduction, which I don't know how utilized it is, you'll also feel like you're a 390 alpha 105 millimeter with bad DPM. So, comparatively, relatively to a 390 alpha gun, having 10.9 base second reload, going against someone with damage reduction, you know, you might as well be a 390 alpha gun. But regardless of that, it's a nice in-between that gives you both. And it feels very weird, I'll be honest. It feels very weird. I thought my 265 millimeters of pen would be enough to go through the upper plate. It's not, but I tried again. Like I said, I don't know what I'm doing, I guess. This game has a lot of mistakes in it that are my mistakes. But also, well, since it's the one I'm showing you, is my best game of the day. I had a bunch of 5,000 damage games, but they got ruined by the HE spam and Avery's YOLOing me and wanting me to get out of the game because I'm the new tank, you know, type deal, I'm guessing. But, man, this thing doesn't take HE too well. Which I'm kind of surprised about. It doesn't look like a tank that would suffer too much, but Avery's were hitting me pretty hard for 600, 650 splash damage, which, you know, most tanks get hit for that, but I didn't expect this one to, you know, take that much. But luckily, I don't think there was an Avery in this game, and even if there was, I didn't fight him. But there is a Tyran. We don't like Tyrans either, so hopefully he doesn't become a problem for me. Now we're winning 10-6, so I'm thinking this game's over for me. I gotta move on to the next one and try and get a better game in the next game. But something happens here, and it's not Fishy coming online. Hello, Fish. But I missed some shots that I don't know what's taking them from me, you know? I don't know what was there that blocked my shot, because the dead tank seemed to be closer to me and didn't really look like it blocked my view too much. That one was a Hail Mary, just trying, because I noticed he's kind of killing my team right now. And that one really made me mad. This one, I kind of threw my hands up at that moment and said, well, this game doesn't want me to do jack shite. That one aiming at the lower plate hit the upper plate, but luckily, I have some armor. So he's not exactly penning me. Guess what, though? 705. It doesn't look like you have armor, because I notice here, his upper plate is red. My 10 degrees of gun depression, 265 standard pen on my AP rounds are enough to go through the upper plate of the 705. And there's the Tyran, who I'm not mistaken just bounced me. Killed the 705. The Highlander has shot me twice, but I believe he's on definite reload. And the Tyran, since I believe he just shot me, is on reload still. Luckily, I don't think I would have won if that WZ-122 did not kill that man. He definitely would have gotten his gun around and killed me. But I know the Highlander's on reload, and since he's going to give me a shot, I'll take it. If you didn't know, the Highlander's kind of got like a weird cupola situation where it's like a bar that pokes up. So that's where I was aiming there. And I try to do it again, but I don't pen that time. So I load the heat because his hole's pretty good. So I want that reliance or those reliable pens with my heat. Now I know he's definitely reloaded. And at most he has 2 shells in his mag. At least he has 0. But a Shashka kills him. Hello, Shashka. And that's 3-2. It's actually quite a close game. And now I've done 5,100 damage, 2,200 spotting. I got rushed by a Tyran and live. I missed so many shots on the Highlander, and we're still in it. 700 HP to play with. And I'm thinking, okay, I saw that other MBT-B running in there. And I don't know where this medium is, but what I need to do is either spot up the medium out in the open for this Jaeger behind me, excuse me, or I need to go in this ditch and kill this MBT-B. Now that I know where the M60 is, and know that the MBT-B is going up after my Shashka, I can get some damage here. As long as the M60 doesn't come over the ridge on the 4 line to shoot me in the rear, I'm good. The Shashka puts his round in, which means less damage for us, but the MBT is hard focused on the Shashka, and he low rolls by 50 HP there, and I'm just gonna put 2 rounds into him, and then, well, put the 3rd into him. He does kill the Shashka, unfortunately, but there he goes. And now I know where the M60 is. And like I said, remember that M60, because even though he was the first one that we saw in this match, and we dealt 2 shots to him and someone else hit him, he's the last one alive. Luckily for him, I should say, luckily for him, I bounce. And the rest of this game's kind of gonna drag on a bit. So while it drags on, we can discuss the fact that this tank isn't bad. And I want to like it, but we've buffed 120 millimeters to have great DPM. And with rapid loading in our game, it just allows everything to just shoot so fast. So when we bring a tank over from PC and we nerf its reload, that rapid loading basically removes the nerf, right? So 10% from rapid loading, you would have had to make this thing 11.1 base reload for rapid loading to negate it completely, negate the nerf. But they only made it 10.9. So rapid loading does make it slightly better than PC's base value just from one perk. And then you have all the other things of vents, rammer, food, born leader, and all that stuff going into your reload. And I believe it's down to 7.7, which used to not be bad. But like I said earlier, it doesn't really let this tank keep up with the game anymore. When 400 alpha guns are reloading in 6 seconds, this one almost reloading in 8 seconds for 20 more alpha. You know, if you're going to reload for almost 8 seconds, you might as well play a 440 alpha gun. Or some of them are even better than that, like the 121 and the 113. Both have sub 10-second base reloads. And they get to utilize rapid loading. While this one, you know, if you think about it, the rapid loading brings it back to what PC's base is. And then we don't get to utilize rapid loading on this tank, while every other tank in the game gets to still utilize that. So we're like sort of 10% behind our desired result. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. And so that's why I'm quite a big advocate to remove rapid loading, or just stop nerfing PC tank reloads to seemingly compensate for it. I know the Highlander didn't get a PC or a reload nerf, but that one had a long reload, so they probably felt they didn't need to do that. The 114 did. I can't remember if the 780 did, but the last PC tank that I can remember we put out before the 114 was Centauro, and we did weird things to that thing. So, but yeah, it's just something I've picked up on, something I've noticed, and I don't really like it. If this thing had its 10-second base reload, I don't know if it would be too good, which is why I said earlier, maybe we nerfed it too much. Shave off half a second and see where that puts it, see where it stands. But as it stands, I sort of feel like I'm not keeping up with the game when I'm in a situation where everyone's utilizing their DPM to the fullest in a brawling scenario or whatnot. Or even when I'm sniping, there'd be moments where, you know, someone gets into cover just as I reload, and you think to yourself, man, if we didn't nerf this base reload, I would have gotten that. While every other tank in the game gets to utilize rapid loading, even after getting reload buffs, this one just does not. Whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, I think it's a weird thing. I think it's something weird that we're doing, and I have no proof that it's purely the rapid loading perk that we are doing that for, but it definitely feels that way. Now, while I've rambled on about rapid loading, our Jaeger has decided to finally pressure the cap, and the M60 was not found in the top right. So I said, screw it. If he's really running off, to get our XP higher, let's go sit on the cap. And luckily I did that when I did that, because oh boy, there he is. I said, please Jaeger, don't kill him. Please Jaeger, don't kill him. And he tracks him. I get a shot off. And I said, oh boy, you are mine. Make that 4 kills, nearly 4,000 damage. Sorry, 4,000 damage. 4 kills, nearly 7,000 damage. 2256 spotting, and a handful of block damage that I would have been dead if I didn't block. That gives you 1685 base XP. That would obviously be an ace at most tier 10s, but since this is day 1 of a new premium tank, it is only a first class. Which I will switch. There you go. It's only a first class. Which, to be honest, I thought it would be a second class, but I will take the first class. And you know what? I'm going to call that an ace. Yep. 1685. There you go. Again, like I said, not a bad tank. Pretty good tank. But does it keep up with our game's meta? Not in my eyes. But with that, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.